One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Whistle reports and paves his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Man, we all survived, and we don't have a hangover. Feels ultra freaking good. Hopefully, everyone is enjoying the Thirsty Thursday so far. It is a little chilly this morning. It is definitely a little chilly, and that's why we got the flannel on. Feels ultra good. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a it seems like we have an extensive morning every morning. It's been kind of like that for honestly, probably the last 2-3 months, really. But last year it's been just a lot of news every day. So, anyways, the way that I have this labeled is Trump speaks at National Prayer Breakfast. This happens yearly or whatever the case is, and so yeah, Trump is speaking there this morning. He already did. Tensions rise ahead of U.S. and Iran nuclear talks. Obviously, we're going to get into that here in a little bit and more. Now, let me go ahead and give you guys the actual chronological storyline that we're going to be discussing this morning. So first, I don't know if you guys remember who Ryan Ralph is. He's one of the guys that attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. And anyways, Ryan Ralph sentenced to life for Trump assassination attempt. Yo. And then we've got Congress faces tight deadline to fund DHS, which is, essentially Homeland Security focusing on ICE. So yes, that is going to be interesting seeing how these guys navigate funding DHS. I'm not really sure how it's going to go down because the Democrats are so against it. But nonetheless, President Trump says Iran's supreme leader, quote, should be worried. And I do agree with that sentiment. If you look at our armada that's over there right now and the amount of equipment that we have, definitely. Iran has a lot of missiles. That's actually kind of like not only their air defense, but they don't have an air force. So that's what they use to counter that, right? Anyways, increased police activity at Nancy Guthrie's home amid search. So as you guys know, this lady unfortunately went missing and was taken against her will or whatever the case is. And the local authorities stopped searching for her 2 days ago. And yesterday we reported on that the feds are willing to give their resources to be able to help the situation. Now, believe it or not only do we have this whole thing, but we have a video from Nancy Guthrie, and she is showing that she's alive, at least, and she reads from a script. I actually didn't listen to it, but we're going to listen to that, obviously, together. And then Savannah Guthrie releases video pleading for mom's safe return. So I guess it's the daughter of the mother that made the video. So I apologize, I misspoke right there. Like I said, I haven't actually watched it myself yet. Would-be Trump assassin Ryan Ralph winks, blows kiss during sentencing. This guy is on some weirdo shit.
Bruh.
Then we got Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris headquarters reactivates campaign account, teases announcement.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Even if she did, attempt to run for something or whatever the case, she is not going to get the support that she. Politics is pretty much over for that lady. So, final Russia and U.S. treaty on nuclear reduction set to expire. Now, that is very important information. We're going to go ahead. It actually expires Thursday, this coming Thursday. So it's a big deal. It's kind of Russian, like it's happening right now. And then, of course, we have tensions rise ahead of U.S.-Iran nuclear talks. Obviously, we have that in the title. And then we have from last night, a suspected DUI driver breaks out in dance after LAPD pursuit. So this guy is getting chased around all of L.A., and then he gets out of the car and starts breakdancing for these fuckers? What is I really don't understand what's happening. Then we have, as an hour ago, immigration agents leave Minnesota, but thousands still remain. Now, I believe the number was 700 of the agents, whether it be ICE agents or CBP, Border Patrol. Nonetheless, 700 were taken out, but there still are thousands that remain. So that's what it's showing. Anyways, listen, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and do our call to actions real quick, and then we'll go ahead and thank everybody and say hi to everyone as well, and then get right into the stories, man. So make sure you guys come in and hit that like button. It helps out the show immensely, and it's free to do so. If you guys are brand new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, because check it out. Not only is it not only free, but we do this Monday through Friday, and then, of course, Saturday morning for members only. We can consolidate all the news that's happened in the last 24 hours, essentially, into a single hour. So make sure you guys double tap the screen if you guys are on the vertical side, though. Very much appreciate that. Let's go ahead and get the money part over. Please consider becoming a member, starting only at $3.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody. But check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So I very much appreciate you guys becoming members and staying members. All right, little side note here. We've got my Instagram. Make sure you guys follow that at Ball Valve TV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news. And it's a great way to get a hold of me on my, personal level, as well as the campaign, all of that shit, man. It's a great way to get a hold of me. Check out the Discord server if you guys have not already. We have the majority of you guys in there, but we try to make 100% of you guys in there. We have the link down in the video description down below for any video that we're doing, as well as one of the moderators. I'm sure we'll go ahead and drop you a link. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that you guys can donate to. And, of course, I'll read out whatever comes our way, just like a super chat. I've got my email up, so I am got my eyes on that. So real quick, I want to give a special shout-out to Motobomb Virginia, as well as the Coffee Crew, Carney's Ride, Sick Bastard, Old Mac, Sterling Will, all of you legends over there. I very much appreciate it. You guys rated us this morning, so check your mic level. Okay, how about now? See, I ended up joining Grid One Motorsports panel yesterday, and it fucks with everything. So I don't know. I didn't really actually adjust anything on my board, but it automatically does it. I'm not really sure. Papa Penguin, thank you for that. And then Steve Easy coming in saying your mic volume is bunk. Mike, your volume is low. Thank you guys, by the way. So we got $2 from Papa Penguin, 2 from Steve Easy, and then Naomi for the 12 months, by the way. That's a full year. Awesome. So you guys let me know if the volume is better. Please let me know. I'm scrolling down to make sure that we can see you guys. Okay, it's fixed. Now, it's too loud now. Okay, how about now? Jesus Christ. All right, so anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get right into this shit. We have a lot of chaos that we're going to be reporting on, obviously. Hopefully you guys somewhat heard me.
You have some breaking news at this hour that we do want to get to, and that is this, that Ryan Ruth has been sentenced to life in prison plus 7 years for attempting to assassinate Trump at a Florida golf course. That sentencing just happening, and I did want to provide just a little bit more information as we take a look at some video of Ryan Ruth right here, a man convicted of trying to assassinate President Trump on a Florida golf course in 2024 was sentenced moments ago to life in prison. U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon pronounced Ryan Ruth's fate in the same Fort Pierce courtroom that erupted into chaos in September when he tried to stab himself shortly after jurors found him guilty on all counts. Prosecutors had asked for...
No, you know what's weird is I didn't touch anything on the soundboard, by the way. I didn't touch anything. So I joined Grid One Motorsports, his panel last night, and I didn't touch anything. But for some reason, when you go on to like these different softwares, he doesn't use StreamYard. He uses something called Talk Studio. And for whatever reason, when I went on there, I was having a whole bunch of issues. So like the soundboard wasn't working. I had to connect to the actual Rodecaster instead of the entire virtual cable that I run. So yeah, it was a whole bunch of shit. But I never touched the volumes or anything like that. So I'm not really sure why. That's why I don't like joining other people's shit, man. I'm gonna be honest, because it always fucks my shit up, and I'm not about that time.
For life without parole, saying Ruth is unrepentant and has never apologized. A defense attorney brought in for his sentencing asked for 27 years, noting that Ruth is already turning 60. Ruth also received a consecutive 7-year sentence for one of his gun.
Are you fucking serious? Hold on, dude. This is outrageous. It shows that I'm on the correct thing here. Let's see if I do this. Yep, that's the correct fucking audio. I just don't understand. Shit's so frustrating. Check. See, I don't understand what the fuck. Check. This shit is so bunk. You guys keep letting me know how it goes.
Convictions. Ruth's sentencing had initially been scheduled for December, but Cannon agreed to move the date back after Ruth decided to use an attorney during the sentencing phase instead of representing himself as he did for most of the trial. Prosecutors said in a sentencing memorandum that Ruth has yet to accept any responsibility and should spend the rest of his life in prison in accordance with federal sentencing guidelines.
I'm telling you, I've got the readings of my entire thing. It's all the way up to the fucking yellow. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to do here. I mean, fuck it. I'll just shut it down. I don't give a shit.
Guidelines. He was convicted of trying to assassinate, at the time, presidential candidate Trump, using a firearm in furtherance of a crime, assaulting a federal officer, possessing a firearm.
I appreciate that, Jack. Thank you for letting me know that.
As a felon, and using a gun with a defaced serial number. Ruth's new defense attorney, Martin Roth, asked for a variance from sentencing guidelines, 20 years in prison on top of a 7-year mandatory sentence for one of the gun convictions. However, as we just shared with you, the judge now handing down that sentencing for life in prison. Happening right now, reaction.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Outside the Fort Pierce, Florida courthouse. Let's play that out for you right now.
Oh, real quick, before we do, I'm going to also test my audio right here. But quickly, we got Alfred Patterson coming in with the Cash App with the $5 saying, wake and bake on this beautiful thirsty Thursday. Yes, sir. Thank you for that.
Oscar was part of the takedown from the Martin County Sheriff's Office. So, Terry, you want to ask? You want to ask questions?
You can also say it's your name first, so we have it all.
Gotcha. Tell me when you're ready, and I'll start.
Just say your name and title and tell us your department's specific involvement in this case.
Yes, my first name is John, John. Last name is Budensiek, Budensiek. I'm the sheriff of the Martin County Sheriff's Office. And the Martin County Sheriff's Office is the agency that took Mr. Ruth into custody as he moved up I-95 immediately after being engaged by the Secret Service agent.
Yeah, I don't know what else to do, chat. I mean, fuck it. At this point, I'm willing to just throw in a towel and just say fuck it, and not even deal with this shit. I'm not really sure. I can't. Everything's plugged up perfectly. I just don't understand. Let me even double check the cords.
Absolutely.
Good morning. My name's Major Josh Closter. I was one of the members out there that day with our sheriff's office and our partners from Palm Beach County that were fortunately able to make the vehicle stop and the apprehension.
And how do you feel today, Major?
It is very satisfying to have the result that we had today. And that was really a combination of the hard work, starting with the Secret Service agent down there in Palm Beach County and the brave citizen from Palm Beach County, and the efforts from the Martin County Sheriff's Office and all of our partners, the evidence technicians, the prosecutors, everybody involved in this case played a crucial role, and everything worked the way it was supposed to, which is why we had the result we did today.
Can you speak to the confluence of events and people who actually got involved, like Mr. McGee, to make this case, to really prevent something from happening and then to make the case?
Yeah, so just to kind of recap the sequence of events, it started with the bravery of the Secret Service agent who found Mr. Ruth hiding in the woods with his rifle, identifying him and taking action without hesitation, which led to Mr. Ruth fleeing that scene. And fortunately, there was a vigilant citizen of Palm Beach County who saw what happened and was brave enough to get enough information to relay that to law enforcement. As soon as that information from the citizen was relayed to Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, it was immediately shared with us when we believed, Palm Beach County rather, believed that he was going northbound on Interstate 95. And once that information was relayed to us at the Martin County Sheriff's Office, every member that was on duty immediately responded to the interstate. Every member that was off duty who got that text or that page left their house. They left their families. They left lunch. Whatever they were doing that day, they went to the interstate as fast as they could. And what you saw was a full response from our...
Okay, I think we're back on audio. It still shows it's reading low, which I don't understand. Even though I'm actually cranked on my shit. But anyways, sorry about this, guys.
Agency,
I'm working on it.
and the full force of all agencies coming down on this individual at once.
With the events in court today, what do you guys make of the judge's comments about the defendant and then the defendant's comments in court today?
Yeah, the question is, what do we make of the comments in court? So the defendant tried to portray himself as a do-gooder, a victim, and I think Judge Cannon said it best. She says, the evil is in you, Mr. Ruth. The evil is in you. You were the one that were trying to kill the President of the United States, former and then to be President of the United States. The evil is in you. And I think that kind of encapsulates all that.
Yeah, it was a whole bunch of shit going on in the background there that I don't know what the fuck happened. I joined someone else's panel and all my fucking software in the background is like demolished. I can't explain it. Didn't touch any of it. Anyways.
Was taking place here today.
No, Sterling, it's my software in the background.
Said if there's one sliver of good that came out of this, I don't know if you were there for this.
I was.
Interview. Explain what she said there about the counterpoint, about the greatest Americans. How do you all follow?
So the question was, the judge made a comment at the very end about there was a sliver of good that came out of this incident. And of course, there was nothing good in this incident, except for the fact of the heroic acts of the Secret Service agent that put himself in harm's way, really in harm's way. This guy had an AK-47.
Well, good. I'm glad that this whole thing is essentially, I mean, he's been sentenced to life in prison. The story's kind of over now. So I'm glad about that, actually. But we're going to move on. So, super sorry for everybody that's watching. Me having audio issues. That shit is about the biggest grind my gears situation ever. As you guys know, I'm very weird about audio. And I fucking hate when audio's messing with me, especially when I didn't do anything. Anyways, Congress faces tight deadline to fund DHS and ICE, obviously, which is ICE. But let me go ahead and read this. Congressional funding fight shifts into high gear. This comes after the House narrowly passed the funding bill to end the partial shutdown. Now, mind you, I believe that it's set to expire this Thursday. Actually, it's the following Thursday. It is February 13th. So not even Thursday, it's Friday. I'm not sure why it said that originally. But anyways, let's go ahead and bring this up and we'll go ahead and discuss it. So it's happening not this Friday, but next Friday. It's going to be expiring.
I do want to pull into the conversation with the Deseret News, Cami Mondo. Cami, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, there's a lot to discuss. I want to put this up on the screen for folks at home, as we do have an update from the Democrats as they've been discussing what they want to do moving forward as we're watching as this funding is getting ready to expire. But this is from your X account saying that Schumer says that Democrats will release their official legislative proposal for DHS reforms, quote, within the next 24 hours. All eyes really are on this conversation. What else are you learning about those conversations happening on Capitol Hill?
Absolutely. They've been meeting several times throughout
What's up, Sicko Smoke, by the way? Real quick. Great to see you in the chat. Happy Thirsty Thursday.
the week. They met yesterday and they met again this morning before making this announcement. Essentially, we haven't seen the legislative text of this proposal just yet. We do know some of their demands that they're going to be asking for, such as wearing masks and having prominent identification for ICE agents. But basically, we've seen a few different demands from House Democrats and Senate Democrats. So the exercise they're going through right now is kind of just consolidating what those demands are, passing them off to Republicans and saying, what are we going to do about this? Again, that deadline, as you said, is next Friday. So time really is of the essence here.
And so we wanted to list it out on the screen as well. You mentioned them, no mass judicial warrants before arrest, prohibiting ICE from detaining/deporting U.S. citizens, as well as those mandatory body cams. But this is all coming off the back of the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy at the hands of federal immigration agents in Minneapolis last month. This is really causing that scrutiny there, and for lawmakers really all over the country, not just there in Minnesota, to have these larger...
What's up, TNT, by the way? Super sorry I was in the middle of dealing with chaos over here.
Conversations. And so, Cami, as we're looking ahead, what have you been hearing from some of those Republican leaders? As we know that, of course, Senator Thune is going to be on the front lines having these conversations.
Yes, with many of these demands that Democrats have put out so far, they've already been written off by Republican leaders as non-starters. That mask wearing and the prominent identification are those two that Republicans say absolutely not in any way, shape, or form, because they're worried about ICE agents being doxxed or, otherwise stopped from doing their jobs.
We already know all that.
So in that way, Senator Thune earlier this morning said that these demands are kind of just posturing for Democrats. He doesn't believe they're negotiating in good faith by putting out these demands that they know won't make it through to the Senate, to the House, or even signed by President Trump. So right now, there is a very big disagreement between what can actually get through here.
And so we're putting up some photos and images of Alex Preddy. Again, he's one of those two people who were killed in Minnesota.
Yes, real quick. Lucy's right there. If you guys are on the horizontal, you guys will be able to see her. If you're on the vertical, unfortunately, she's out of the frame. Mind you, by the way, hit that like button, as well as double tap the screen if you're on the vertical side. I very much appreciate your laborious work.
Driving this conversation to continue on. I want to put this up as well, Cami, again, from your X account, saying that this is according to Thune, saying if progress isn't made on DHS funding by next week, Thune says that the best option may be a year-long CR for the department. And so for folks at home who might not be familiar with what a CR is, what that really means for the Department of Homeland Security and all of those other factors who might be affected if this funding lapses on the 13th, can you go into some detail there?
Absolutely. A CR basically stands for continuing resolution, which basically just extends current funding levels for a certain amount of time. Right now, we're in that 2-week CR, which expires on February 13th.
Right, which is not this Friday, but next Friday.
Meaning that the fiscal levels we already have are extended. No policies have been enacted to change how the DHS functions. When that does expire, if they don't have another agreement in place, whether that's another CR or if that's the actual appropriations bill, DHS will have no federal funding until something is passed. And so Thune here is saying that if there's progress made, like they're on the cusp of passing something, he's okay with another 2 or 3 week extension. But if they aren't close at all, he's saying let's just extend current levels until the end of the fiscal year, which Democrats right now are split on wanting to do that because they want serious reforms included in this appropriations bill.
Yeah, they want defunding.
And so I wanted to put this one up on your screen as well. You detailed how Jeffries has since rejected Thune's assessment, saying that he was not working on good faith. That was a statement that Thune had made earlier on in the morning, and saying that he was afraid of his own left base, saying, quote, Leader Thune is afraid of his own shadow. This is a guy who said that he was not going to break up the 6 appropriations bills, that he broke up the 6 appropriations bills when he was ordered to do so by Donald Trump. And so we're watching all of this unfold, and some of this this rhetoric going back and forth between these two leaders. Cami, what do you make of this conversation between the two of them, really trying to say that neither of their bases really trust each other?
It really just shows how far apart these two leaders are in their respective parties. You know, they're each.
Oh yeah, we already know how far apart they are right now. There really couldn't be much more division. All right, we're gonna move on. President Trump says Iran's supreme leader, quote, should be worried. Now, I actually agree with that sentiment. I mean, we have a huge armada that's over there right now, as well as our military bases that are all surrounding the area. Yeah, I think that they should be worried.
And now on to the latest on the growing tensions between the United States and Iran. The U.S. military bolstered its presence across the Middle East. The U.S. and Iran.
What's up, Brother Dean? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat, by the way. And you know what we got to do? Fuck it. We got to do the money part. From all the bullshit that I was dealing with earlier. You know?
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
TNT, I got a soundbite for just you.
Denied.
Absolutely not. This is mine. This is mine. No, if you were hanging out with me, absolutely, you'd be getting some. But appreciate that.
Officials had been expected to meet Friday on restarting negotiations. Things got rocky over Iran's nuclear program. For more on this, Fox News' Rebecca Castor with the latest.
From an Iranian drone.
Hold on, Frank. I got something for you. Shit.
You are gay. Why are you gay?
Flying towards a U.S. warship to gunboats harassing a U.S.-flagged oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. Tensions are high ahead of diplomatic talks between the U.S. and Iran on Friday.
These are the types of provocative actions that Iran should avoid, especially as we try to negotiate a resolution to the situation.
Despite those incidents, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is in the region and prepared to meet. The Trump administration wants to shut down Iran's nuclear program, limit its ballistic missile development, stop its funding of regional terror groups, and end its deadly crackdown on anti-government protesters.
Now, talks are still ongoing, mind you, even after all the craziness that's been happening, kind of threats back and forth, blah, blah, blah. There still is U.S. negotiations with Iran and their nuclear program. Basically, the U.S. standpoint is they want Iran to reset, literally, basically kind of destroy everything they have, essentially, and start from day one again. And, you know, Iran's not going to want to do all that shit.
I'm not sure you can reach a deal with these guys, but we're going to try to find out.
Behind the scenes, the Iranians are making it difficult to even get to Friday's talk.
Man, if I had the proper, you know, part of the world, it would work. But, you know, just for you, Sterling, I got you.
They want to.
I'm going to hear Jimmy Mack go, wow, my fucking dogs are going crazy now. And
limit discussions to only its nuclear program, which Trump officials say is not going to work.
In order for talks to actually lead to something meaningful, they will have to include certain things.
And if talks go poorly, it could convince President Trump to take more military action.
They had a chance to do something a while ago and it didn't work out, and we did Midnight Hammer. I don't think they want that happening again.
The U.S. has at least.
And I don't think they want that shit to happen again. Yeah, no shit.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit!
What's up, Lappy, my man? Great to see you in the chat, bro. Good morning. Happy Thirsty Thursday.
9 warships, dozens of fighter jets, and between 30 to 40,000 troops in the region, leaving President Trump with a number.
Yeah, Prez, I'm not really sure why that happens. I don't know if that's a glitch. I mean, it's obviously got to be a glitch, and it's not just happened to me, by the way. It happens to other YouTubers that I happen to watch, and I go to like it, double tap the screen, and then it doesn't work. You know, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's weird, dude.
Of military options. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Rebecca, thanks for those updates. We want to continue on with the tensions with Iran. I want to bring in our next guest to help break it all down for us. This is Reuters Deputy Foreign Editor, Humaira Pamuk. Humaira, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox. And I mean, this was a meeting that it looked like earlier today probably wasn't going to happen, and then things shifted around.
Yes, it did shift around.
Indeed, it was quite a bit of a roller coaster of a day. And since yesterday, first, as you know, the talks were supposed to happen in Turkey, and with the participation of regional countries such as Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, that was actually set for Friday. And then we got word that the Iranians actually did not want that venue, neither they wanted that scope. They wanted the talks just to focus on the nuclear file, which was actually something that Washington did not want before, because Israel wants Turkey, others, regional countries want these other important topics to be addressed. You've actually said it, and Secretary Rubio said it today as well. What are those? Those are Iran's support for proxies, ballistic missile program, obviously the nuclear file, and the...
So like I said right here, we actually discussed a little bit about this yesterday when we were talking about Iran. So yes, it is set for Friday in Oman.
Recent crackdown of authorities on protesters. So, but we have seen Iranian officials, even today, even after U.S. officials have told us that...
Says the meeting looked like it was on the verge of collapsing, but it's still expected to happen, at least for now. Meanwhile, the U.S. military has bolstered its presence across the Middle East before being moved to Oman. On Tuesday, U.S. forces shot down an Iranian drone that approached the Abraham Lincoln, the USS Abraham Lincoln, by the way, the aircraft carrier. And they did shoot that down, and we were talking about how even though that just happened the night previous, that they're still going to continue trying to diplomatically get through this, which I thought was pretty impressive, actually. I had a very uneasy feeling as soon as that whole drone thing happened. I'm like, oh, here we go. Now it's going to give them, the United States, the excuse to just go in and bomb the shit out of them. And I'm glad that did not happen, by the way, because that moment, it's just anyways, just a rough landscape for sure. That's why I'm covering, especially all of this stuff in the Middle East, especially with our presence there.
These talks are now going ahead on Friday in Oman. We've had from Iranian officials saying that they actually don't want, ballistic missile program is off the table. So after reporting on this roller coaster of a day, I'm actually a little bit confused about Friday, how this is going to go ahead. And frankly, 24 hours in Iran diplomacy is a very, very long time. So we can have a few cancellations tomorrow and then perhaps back on again until Friday. There's plenty of time.
That's such a great point, because there is still a lot of time between now and Friday. And how does President Trump's comments play a role in this? We know that he could be quick to start something on Truth Social if he does interviews as well. How have his comments really geared towards Friday?
Well, he had some comments.
That's a decent question.
For NBC this afternoon. And, a couple of days ago, he also said that, they want a deal. We're negotiating with them right now. If this goes well, that's great. If it's not, bad things will happen. We have seen this incredible military buildup.
By the way, we have 224 people in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. If you're on the vertical side, please hit that. Double tap the screen. You know what I mean? Appreciate that. You don't have to like all the craziness that's happening in the world, but you guys can like the video for me and what we do here. So thank you.
In the Arabian Sea over the past couple of weeks, there's been thousands of U.S. troops, warships. So in a way, a lot of people say that if the president wants to make a move, if the president wants to carry out a strike, the military assets are now in place. The U.S. is ready to go. Now, for the regional countries, that is a big concern, actually. And we have seen a lot of Arab diplomats reach out to Washington today when they heard that the Friday talks were about to collapse, pleading with U.S. officials, pleading with the White House to actually go ahead with the talks, even though the scope is narrower than Washington wants. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that diplomacy. But
okay, so honestly, I don't need to hear the rest of this whole thing, because we have an update on Iran already, so we're gonna move on. But yeah, let's go ahead. We understand the whole landscape right now regarding Iran and the nuclear, where they're gonna diplomatically try to get a deal done, which is great actually. But first, we're gonna move on because we're on a chronological timeline here. Increased police activity at Nancy Guthrie's home amid search. Now, we also have another update regarding Guthrie. Savannah Guthrie releases video pleading for mom's safe return. So the child, essentially, of the victim. So anyways, let's go ahead and bring this up, and we'll discuss the police activity going over there. Now, we had been reporting on, we just started reporting on this whole thing yesterday, I believe. or the day before. I think I can't remember. The days kind of merge. But yes, so local authorities actually took away, called off the search, and it was going to be kind of a cold case from there. Well, they're not going to be doing the active searching. Well, then Trump got involved and heard about this whole story and said, no, we're going to give you guys all federal resources you need. So, which was another W. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here.
Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Day number 4 in the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host.
What's up, Arpol? Great to see you in the chat, my man. I've seen you around over there at Jack Talcott's stream. Appreciate you for hanging out with us this morning.
Savannah Guthrie continues on, and some development, some movement there on the ground as the Sheriff's Department alerting the media that there might be some activity. The crime scene tape is back up in the Catalina Foothills neighborhood. Let's be joined right now on the ground by our Fox 10 team, Brian Webb. Brian, thank you so much.
So I'm not really sure her background, Steve Posey, but I do know that she was taken against her will, essentially, and has just disappeared.
You're at the scene right now. What are you hearing? What are you seeing from law enforcement?
Yeah, Andy, most of the day, the sheriff's office was kind of batting off reports and rumors, and then suddenly a flurry of activity here, starting with deputies that pulled up here within the past hour. I'll step out of the way and give you a look. That is Nancy's house back behind me, and that is the new crime tape that you talked about. Deputies showed up here at the same time we learned that the FBI is apparently at the in-laws' house, not far from here, apparently talking to the family who we think is staying at that home. We have video from just the past hour. Again, a big truck pulled up. Deputies hop out, some of them in camouflage, walking the property with a canine. Looked like they moved toward the back. We did not see them go inside. That doesn't mean they're not in there. But then they put up that crime tape.
That's their audio, by the way, that's fucking up, not ours.
As well, to keep us back. Also want to show you drone video. This is a fairly remote area out here, like you might find on the outskirts of a lot of towns. Cave Creek and Carefree stand out in the North Phoenix area, for one. These are...
I gotta admit, that's a nice fucking property.
Secluded stone and brick homes, large remote lots. No fences out here, no street lights, no sidewalks, just thick desert brush in between the homes. You really can't see one home from the next, and you might think if one neighbor yelled out to the other neighbor might not hear. Up until...
Oh, TNT. It wouldn't be the first time. I've definitely torched my mustache a couple of times. When I was a little too lit, crossfaded, I was drinking, lighting up a butt or something like that, and all of a sudden fucking you start hitting the mustache hairs. Yeah, I've done that. Wouldn't be my first time.
Today, news crews and anybody from the public could walk right up to the front door of the house. That is where we saw the disturbing video earlier today. Blood on the patio and what appeared to be a doorbell camera missing. The sheriff's office offered no details on either one of those. And then by the time we showed up here this morning, Wednesday morning, there was private security on the property. Back to the in-law question. Reports surfaced overnight, really, that the in-law of Nancy Guthrie might be a person of interest in this case. Immediately, the sheriff batted that away.
Immediately batted it away. I don't think you should bat away any, person of interest at first. I think that you should keep it all on the table.
He's saying, no, we don't have any suspects. We don't have even a person of interest. But then late today, within the past hour, we learned the FBI is at that.
No, Papa Penguin. That's why it's kind of fascinating, to be honest, because it's like you can't just be just some normal mom out there that lives out here and just get snatched. I mean, yes, theoretically it's fucking possible, but there's something here. It's like, first of all, my thing is like, is she attached to like politicians like that? Those are the first things I'm thinking too,
House. That doesn't necessarily mean those things have changed, but the FBI to talk to the
That's their audio.
The in-laws' house earlier today. Lots of media out there based on that report. Several non-media.
No, they haven't found her yet.
Media cars there as well, leading us to believe that might be a gathering spot for the family, although we did not see anyone come or go. Lastly, the city of Tucson is planning a vigil tonight at a nearby church. It's expected to be a big turnout. We went by there earlier today. And
real quick, we got Tiffany in the building as well as my brother, Wicked Wally, my man. Great to see you in the chat, my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your Thirsty Thursday morning so far. Definitely know that we are. By the way, we have 221 people in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button as well as double tap the screen if you're on the vertical side. Very much appreciate that. Thank you.
I talked to one resident planning to attend. What do you think about the community coming together for something like this?
I think it's a gift when people come together and support each other in whatever ways people connect with their higher power.
I agree.
Why are you gay?
I had a question for you, though.
And so there's really a sense of comfort, and people often feel alone and afraid. A lot of people live in, especially they get to a point in life and age, a lot of people living in the suburbs of Tucson might at times feel isolated, and this brings also a sense of fear. So coming together really helps people connect, and there's a strength in that.
Okay, we're gonna leave it at that because we do have a different update regarding this whole thing. Her child actually releases a video pleading for mom's safe return. And yes, it is in the news cycle, so we're going to go ahead and play it.
Just moments ago.
It's not super long or anything.
We did see that Savannah posted a video on her Instagram account. We've been working here in the newsroom to get this plugged into our system. It does, in fact, appear that we've got it now. This is Savannah, Cameron, and Annie Guthrie posted just within the past few minutes here.
On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She's funny and spunky and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children. She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances. She chooses joy day after day, despite having already passed through great trials of pain and grief. We are always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom.
TNT. That's the best thing you can do, aside from if you have the money to be able to, negotiate something. But yeah, make that victim to the perpetrator here. They're fucking villains, and try to fucking make sure that you can humanize her. And that's the best thing you can do is emotion.
Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you.
I hope they do too, Charles.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She is 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive, and she needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated.
It's almost over.
We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please, reach out to us. Mommy, if you are hearing this, you are a strong woman. You are God's precious daughter, Nancy. We believe and know that even in this valley, He is with you. Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We will not rest. Your children will not rest until we are together again. We speak to you every moment, and we pray without ceasing, and we rejoice in advance for the day that we hold you in our arms again. We love you, Mom.
Wow.
Love you, Mom.
We love you, Mom. Stay strong.
We love you, Mom. We love you.
Man, brutal. All right. We're going to go ahead and swiftly move on. Would-be Trump assassin Ryan Routh winks and blows kiss during sentencing. What the fuck is this? This guy is an odd dude, man. Let me see what the hell is going on here.
And welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. Always great to be with you as we continue to roll on. Some other top stories that we are following for you today. A federal judge in Florida sentenced Ryan Routh to life in prison. He's the man a jury convicted of trying to kill then presidential candidate Donald Trump by aiming a gun through a golf course fence in West Palm Beach back in 2024. Let's go out right now to Fort Pierce, Florida. That is where we find Fox News' Oliviana Calmes joining us. She has been in court throughout this process, now joining us here with the latest.
Yeah, Mike, today it really wrapped up as both sides gave their final statements toward Judge Eileen Cannon, who basically said that she believes that Ruth's, quote, plot was deliberate and evil. Then she gave him a sentence of life.
Hell yeah, Steve Easy. Hopefully you enjoy that sandwich. And we'll see you on the flip side, my man.
Life in prison plus 7 years. And he was shackled at the wrist all the way that was connected to his waist and wore a tan prison jumpsuit today as he was in court. And he was very closely monitored as well, which is probably because of all the chaos that we saw, if you remember, on the verdict day when he got that guilty verdict for all of those counts. And he tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen. Yep. Today, though, Ruth previously had... I
remember when that happened.
His own lawyer today, he had attorney Martin Roth representing him, and he claimed that Ryan Ruth never intended to kill anyone, but the prosecution saying today it still was a plot for cold-blooded murder. And Ruth also had an opportunity to speak today, reading from a 20-page letter that he had written. The judge stopped him a couple of times as he strayed into making claims about his own generosity, his love for his country, and his time overseas. Ruth's lawyer said he wanted Ruth to really say what he wanted to today.
My thought is, he has consequences to pay, and this was his day to say everything and get it off his chest. I didn't want to put any limitations on him.
And the judge tore into Ruth as the hearing wrapped up, telling him, quote, "You are not a peaceful man. You are not a good man." And throughout the trial, we've seen his kids in court watching from the gallery. Today, they were not present. And as Ruth was escorted out, he did take a look at the gallery. He winked and blew a kiss toward the gallery as well before he was led out. Now,
that's so fucking strange, dude. What the
Bruh. We know his attorney that he has hired now, he's got somebody representing him instead of just representing himself, does plan to make an appeal in this. Mike.
Yeah,
I'll tell you one thing. She's a pretty lady. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Shit. All right, we're moving on. Let's go ahead and do this. We're going to Kamala Harris. HQ reactivates campaign account and teases announcement. That is hilarious because whatever she does is going to be irrelevant. So let's go ahead and bring it up. It's in the news cycle. Let's go ahead and do it. Here we go. And real quick, you know what we got? This goes out to Kamala Harris. You need to embrace your fuck ups.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck ups when you have tomorrow's fuck ups to look forward to? You are a fuck up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
All right, here we go, real quick.
Greg, before
very quick update.
I let you go, I have to ask, because it's just coming across social media about Kamala Harris teasing out potentially a new announcement of any kind. Are you on social media right now kind of grasping this? And any thoughts initially? I know this is potentially catching you off guard.
What's up, TVT? Hopefully you're enjoying your Thirsty Thursday morning so far.
Yeah, no, listen, we certainly were following this Vice President Kamala Harris watch for a long time, right? And then she came out with that announcement a few months ago that said she wouldn't be running for California governor, and many were focused on what the next stage of her career would look like. And so I think part of why we're seeing such a crowded field is that crowd was ready to stay back if Harris did enter this race for California governor. And when she announced that she wouldn't, that's when we saw all of these people jump into this race, which made it really wide open. I am interested to see, I had not seen that message that she had put out, but interested to see what she does say and what that announcement looks looks like on her political career, as I know a lot of the country is waiting to see what that looks like from the former vice president.
Yeah, tease that everyone is kind of looking at, and obviously talking about that spice that this governor race might need, and this could be a major infusion of that. If that is the case, we'll see what happens. Greg Lee, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. You're on Live Now.
What's up, Mountain Woman? Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Let's see if there's any type of tweet or something. There is not. All right, we're going to move on. That was very brief. We kept it brief. Final Russia-U.S. treaty on nuclear reduction set to expire. Now, this is set to expire Thursday. This is a kind of a big deal. This is where I got, at the top of the hour, we were talking about a whole different subject that is going to be, changing in 2 Fridays from now. But now, this upcoming Thursday, this is a big deal. Let's go and bring this up, and we'll discuss it.
All right, you're watching Live Now. I'm Austin Westfall. Live look at the White House on this Wednesday evening. Let's talk about the New START Treaty. It's a nuclear arms reduction treaty between the United States and Russia, and it expires on Thursday. According to Reuters, it'll mark the end of over half a century of limits on both sides' strategic nuclear weapons. Moscow saying that the U.S. has not responded to President Vladimir Putin's proposal to keep observing the military and warhead limits for another 12 months. Standing by is national security analyst, retired Marine intelligence officer, and host of the Strat podcast, Hal Kemper. He's here with me. Let's just get a quick primer on the New START Treaty, Hal. A lot of people might not be familiar with what this is. What nuclear safeguards will be lost tomorrow?
Well,
great first question.
Austin, what this will do is it'll end the things where we pegged it to certain amounts of warheads and certain amounts of launcher systems. This is really kind of built towards...
Now, by the way, this motherfucker, when this guy speaks on Iran and he speaks on the Middle East, I take him serious. This motherfucker knows his shit.
Launcher systems, I think it was about 700 total launcher systems and submarine launched ballistic missiles and ICBMs. And then, interestingly, there was a provision where every bomber was equated to one nuclear warhead, which is not mathematically correct or realistically correct. But it was basically what it does is it capped the number of nuclear warheads.
What's up, Brother Glare? Great to see you in the chat.
Warheads between Russia and the U.S., and it was a significant reduction in the total number and allowed both of us to retire a lot of older launch systems and things like this. This was signed in 2010. It was a 10-year treaty. It had a provision for 5-year extensions. The first provision was put into effect because it took a while to get the treaty ratified. In 2021, they went for 5 more years, and now we're out of the 5 more years, and there's absolutely no interest.
And that shit, and he just said there's absolutely no interest
to make any changes. Doesn't include China. China's building up its nuclear.
And this shit is set to expire Thursday. Next Thursday.
Forces. Obviously, this goes back before other nuclear powers were building up their stockpiles like North Korea and stuff. So,
or it might be, actually, this is from yesterday. This is from yesterday evening, like late yesterday evening. So it could be today.
There are some shortfalls in this, but this ends really, they say 50 years. I would take it. Actually, this goes back to SALT, Strategic Arms Limitation Talks, and then you had START 1, which was ratified. START 2 was signed but never ratified. START 3 was always in negotiations and never went anywhere. And then New START was signed in 2010. And interesting, the arch Kremlin saber rattler, Medvedev, was president of Russia, and he's the one who actually signed it, which I always find rather ironic considering his rhetoric over the last few years.
Medvedev, and I was reading up on this today. President Obama and Medvedev signed the last deal in Prague in 2010. Mm-hmm. What level of cooperation was present back then that is not present today?
We actually had kind of a rapport. We'd had some real questions about Putin, which in retrospect sounds like a very prudent thing to have. When Medvedev came in.
Got Mr. J.R. Bowling in the chat, Alabama's next state senator for District 4. Yes, sir. Great. Shit. We're talking about something that is about to expire today. It's a Russia-U.S. nuclear reduction treaty, and it's actually set to expire today. And so these go by 5-year increments, essentially, and we haven't gotten it done.
There was a feeling that, okay, maybe this is a change. Maybe he is for real. Maybe he's not just a Putin lackey who's filling the term because of the constitutional limitations of the presidency. Maybe he's somebody we can actually deal with. And so there was a lot of hope that Medvedev was moving Russia away from this, path towards autocracy, moving away from what appeared to be a march away from democracy, and that he might be bringing it back. And of course, none of that turned out to be true. He was a complete criminal and lackey, complete lackey of Putin. And but we did get this treaty signed, but I think part of it was that maybe at the time Obama had put too much trust in his assessment of Medvedev as being sincere and wanting to do things like this. And the reality is, over time, nothing came out of it except for this treaty for the most part. And here we are with this major war in Europe with Russia engaged and absolutely.
That was one thing I was just about to bring up, and I'm glad that Hal Kempfer caught on to that real quick.
No interest by anyone to sign any sort of treaty limiting nuclear weapons.
This is gonna get a little dicey. I'm gonna be honest. This is not necessarily the best setup situation ever. So, anyways, we're gonna move on. You guys know that it's set to expire today. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Iran again. Tensions rise ahead of U.S.-Iran nuclear talks. As we know, we've been following this, reporting this since the beginning, essentially. Let's go ahead and discuss this.
All right, let's discuss the Middle East. A live look at the White House on this Wednesday evening, 9:30 in the nation's capital. Nuclear talks between Iran and the United States will take place Friday in the country of Oman. The latest from Fox's Rebecca Castor. She has all the latest details.
From an Iranian drone flying towards a U.S. warship to gunboats harassing a U.S.-flagged oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. Tensions are high ahead of diplomatic talks between the U.S. and Iran on Friday.
These are the types of provocative actions that Iran should avoid, especially as we try to negotiate a resolution to the situation.
Despite those incidents, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is in the region and prepared to meet. The Trump administration wants to shut down Iran's nuclear program, limit its ballistic missile development, stop its funding of regional terror.
Now, the whole reason why Iran gave a pushback on this negotiation was because they wanted to limit Iran on the amount of ballistic missiles they can have and produce, whatever the case is. And Iran is like, that's our only attack and defense, really. And so they're like, fuck no, we're not gonna do this deal kind of thing if that's the deal. Now, what they are kind of willing to do is to start from scratch regarding their whole nuclear program. That is what their the U.S.'s demands is, which is end the nuclear program over there, limit ballistic missiles, stop funding terror groups, obviously, and deadly crackdown on civilians. Yes, we do know this, but it gets weird with the whole ballistic missiles thing because that's their main bread and butter, essentially.
Groups and end its deadly crackdown on anti-government protesters.
It's their fucking Air Force.
I'm not sure you can reach a deal with these guys, but we're going to try to find out.
Behind the scenes, the Iranians are making it difficult to even get to Friday's talks. They want to limit discussions to only its nuclear program, which Trump officials say is not going to work.
In order for talks...
By the way, Hall, I agree with this, by the way. Absolutely. Iran's got it down when it comes down to fucking missile production and hypersonics and supersonic, whatever, subsonics or whatever they call them. All that shit, yeah, they're fucking on top of their shit.
Actually lead to something meaningful.
We need to be on that level.
They will have to include certain things.
And if talks go poorly, it could convince President Trump to take more military action.
They had a chance to do something a while ago and it didn't work out, and we did Midnight Hammer. I don't think they want that happening again.
The U.S. has at least 9 warships, dozens of fighter jets, and between 30 to 40,000 troops in the region, leaving President Trump with a number of military options. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
President Trump told NBC today that the Ayatollah should be, quote, worried about the military buildup in the Middle East. Let's bring in Professor Alon Burstein of the Israel-Palestine Report.
This one came through, Mountain Woman.
Lots to...
Oh, here comes this motherfucker. Yo. This guy, he is like, respectfully, he's like an autism like level genius on these kind of discussions, especially regards to Gaza in particular, but he speaks on the Middle East all the time. So anyways, here we go.
Discuss your alone. Firstly, why is Trump saying that the Ayatollah should be worried? What's the chief reason?
As always, it's good to see you, Austin. I mean, we have to put this within the framework of the different military options. And that's really, everyone's waiting to see what the United States would do if these talks fail. I mean, the day the talks failed and then they were back on track. And we have to remember that a week ago, we didn't have any of these talks scheduled at all. And everyone was assuming when we were in the midst of the protests that were happening in the United States, happening in Iran, everyone was assuming that the United States is going to try to carry out the same type of military operation like they did in Venezuela. What they did in Venezuela, Trump considers a major win. It was a localized military activity, did not commit troops to the ground in Venezuela, and will bring about a change, at least what Trump hopes will bring about a change, in favor of what the United States would like to see in the country. And a lot of people were saying, look, there is the crown prince, so to speak, of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, that a lot of the protesters were asking for his return. And everyone was thinking, is the United States going to try to do the same thing? Is it going to try to just either assassinate or kidnap or arrest the Ayatollah and somehow bring about a quick regime change in Iran without committing a larger military force to the ground? Now, that is much less likely in Iran. That's something we can talk about. It's not going to be the same thing that's happened in Venezuela, and Trump knows this very likely, which is why it hasn't happened yet. But when Trump is saying that the Ayatollah should be worried, I think he's talking specifically about that, not so much worried about a full-on regional war, but more trying to say he personally should be worried. Remember what happened to the president of Venezuela and where he is today. When I am angry with you, remember what can happen to you as a leader of the country. I think that is more what he was trying to aim for.
Does it seem like Iran is actually willing to negotiate with the United States?
Iran is right now, to some extent, backed against the corner. The regime is very, very weakened by these protests, on the one hand. On the other hand, the protests have, to a large extent, been suppressed. They haven't, a lot of people say using the term died down, but the truth is they were suppressed. The internet was cut. Thousands of people were killed. Tens of thousands of people arrested. And that is why the protests have now disappeared from the streets. But the regime is...
I didn't, we reported on the deaths of the whole protests over there, but I didn't even think about the amount of people that were fucking arrested. And he was like tens of thousands. Holy shit.
Nervous. And what it needs, first and foremost, is for the region to calm down and the United States to stop breathing down its neck. Because they proved that they are capable of suppressing the protests, at least for now. They may flare up again, obviously. But they proved they are capable of suppressing the protests. But while they were in the midst of the suppression and in the midst of, sort of wildly killing protesters, all of a sudden the United States started perking up and saying it's going to take military action. So Iran needs the United States to stop breathing down its neck. That has spiraled.
Yeah, Flames, I've got two different live streams. So that you're right now in the vertical. In the horizontal is that we're doing two live streams at the exact same time on YouTube. So one's meant for your phone, one's meant for like your TV kind of shit, or you can have it on your phone too, the horizontal, whatever. But it's just a different, better way to put our name out there.
Into talks on the nuclear deal. It's important to remember this whole military buildup now with Iran had absolutely nothing to do with the nuclear deal. Had nothing to do with the ballistic missile program. It all was about the protesters in the United States wanting the protests to overthrow the Iranian regime and saying, don't carry out mass repression against the protesters or else we may intervene militarily. So is Iran willing to negotiate a nuclear deal? I'd say, first of all, Iran needs negotiations to happen. Whether they're willing to actually carry out a deal, sign a deal and carry out, they need negotiations to happen because they need the threat of the United States backing the protesters to disappear. And they know that Trump prefers deals rather than military action. So they'd like negotiations. Would they be willing to actually give up their nuclear program? I would say that from a realpolitik perspective, it probably...
Yeah, being a realist, not an optimist or an op-B situation. Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to fucking give up and all their nuclear program, essentially, and start from ground zero again.
Probably something that they should consider in light of the war that happened last year. It's probably something that they should consider with regards to trying to remove the threat. Right, if their nuclear program disappeared, then the United States would probably care a lot less what happens in Iran. That said, the regime thrives and exists on the basis of destiny, promises, religious revival, and it can't also afford to be seen to get such a slap in the face and take away its nuclear program once the supreme leader has said it has to happen. So I do think that Iran desperately wants to get the negotiations. They desperately want the negotiations to happen, and they wouldn't mind signing a deal. What will happen later?
But they don't want to lose their main thing, which is ballistics and hypersonics and all of that, their missile program, which they're tying in the nuclear thing with the amount of missiles and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure if Iran's going to be willing to really play that game. But nonetheless, we're going to, of course, follow all of the ongoings of the Middle East. It's what we do Monday through Friday anyways, reporting world news, geopolitics, American politics, and news. Anyways, speaking of interesting news, last night there was a suspected DUI driver and he breaks out in dance after LAPD lawsuit or pursuit.
Bruh.
So not lawsuit, pursuit. He's in the middle of a fucking chase with the cops. The cops are chasing him down, and he gets out or something and starts breakdancing, or what the fuck is happening here, bro? All right, we're going to find out together, I guess. We're going to find out. Here we go.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. We're following some breaking news in Southern California. LAPD in a police chase with a suspected DUI driver. That pursuit is going on right now. Let's tune in to Fox 11 in LA live over this chase.
This driver obviously not making any signs that he or she is willing to pull over. Susan, I don't think we've heard if there's anybody else in the vehicle with that driver.
It's hard to, I didn't see anybody, but yeah, it's hard to say from this perspective. But yeah, going around any stop traffic, not really paying a lot of attention to what could potentially be coming in the cross section.
Sometimes when we've had our police analysts on board with us, they say this might be a person who's been in trouble with law enforcement before.
And therefore trying to stay free for as long as possible? Possibly. Is that the basic idea? Also, there is a very common trope that we use, which is that when somebody is on surface streets in particular, oftentimes it's because they know the area. And this vehicle seems to be, you know, kind of basically staying in the same general area. And
yeah, it's kind of odd. Let's go ahead and see if we can speed this up.
Kind of coming up very, very close. They have to make, you know, quick decisions on when it would be appropriate because they don't want to put anybody in danger. They want to make sure that there are no pedestrians around because if that car loses control, ideally they pit it one corner, and so the car will spin. And if they do it just right, they might not crash, but it might be enough to disable the car or put the car in a...
Okay, we're going to skip forward here because I want to see the dancing they claim.
The car to get it to go around, but to me, that one vehicle looked like he tried to go up and take a look inside to see what was in there. But the erratic driving back and forth and crossing over lanes and the lines and starting and stopping, got a pedestrian out there with a camera. I mean, that's your standard pursuit here. Yeah, trying to get that little clickbait for your social media. But also, too, when they start circling...
That motherfucker called it out right away. That's hilarious. You know, he's out there on the street trying to get his little clickbait for social media.
Areas like this, you start bringing people out of their houses and into the street to watch it go by, and then the problem is that just causes more problems for the law enforcement because now they have to deal with innocent people being in the way, and then if this person's coming along and doesn't see the person out there with their camera, you can run over because he's driving at times blacked out and with no headlights on. It's hard to see people in those dark residential.
Charles, I got it.
A few moments later.
Central streets. But as you were mentioning about the pit maneuver, yeah, it just get up on them on that edge of the rear fender and then take them on around. Normally when a car spins around and goes backwards, it has an automatic system in the computer that will shut the engine down, and you have to go through a reset process to get it back on. But unfortunately, that doesn't look like that's going to happen here. Getting up in a driveway now.
Whoa.
Yeah, you just went into a parking lot. That's interesting. That doesn't seem very
boxed in.
Yeah, you're going to be, door open. Driver's decided, I think I'm going to do a little dance and have my moment of freedom before police officers approach
and fuck me up.
Well, hopefully they get up there quick enough before this person gets back in the car and drives away.
What's up, Bree? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat.
If they don't cooperate, then they're going to probably end up needing the less lethal or a taser. But at this point, it looks like they're trying to give her commands. Does look like a female to me.
Yeah, it is a chick.
I thought it was a chick.
Yeah.
At first, I'm like, oh, it is a chick, and then as the person came out, it looked like a dude. I'm like, oh, okay, so it is a dude, but it is a chick. That's interesting.
Commands to come back, and right now not cooperating. At one point,
yeah, she got to be a little lit. You know what I mean? She on her like fourth little cocktail.
Commands to come back, and right now not cooperating. At one point, there you go. She knows the drill.
She knows the drill.
Hands behind her back, went right to the ground. So obviously, a frequent flyer they have.
Perhaps.
This pursuit.
Or somebody who is under the influence and decided, hey, for my last few minutes of fame, I'm going to really take advantage of it. So she was
Now you got
dancing
me
around
singing
like
it in
this
my
is a
head.
fun thing to do, not something that is going to get her into some trouble.
Let's just note, she wasn't giving up. She got boxed into this pocket here where there was really nowhere to go. There was a vehicle in the way to the top of your screen there. So looks like this pursuit could have gone on for a long time, but now you have it over and nobody got hurt. That's the big thing.
Yeah, very good. Tim Lynn, thank you for your assist on this one.
That's right,
Appreciate
Ghost.
it.
You're welcome. Good night.
What's up? We got Rob Myers in the building. Shout out to my man. Good morning to you. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far. All right, we're going to move on into our latest information here. Immigration agents leave Minnesota, but thousands still remain. Now, yes, we did report that 700 ICE agents and Border Patrol agents are going to be removed from the whole state, I guess. But there is still thousands there in place. So, anyways, let's go ahead and bring this up.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 8:14 on the East Coast and 5:14 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'll be here with you for the next several hours as we break down all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. Want to pop this up on your screen as the 74th National Prayer Breakfast getting underway. You can see folks are gathered there. They are eating, getting that meal in before President Trump takes the stage sometime around.
Which did happen, and I actually listened to a majority of it. But what I care about is this.
There, I want to pop this up on your screen. This is from the White House as they say Operation Metro Surge, thanks to the brave men and women of ICE. 4,000 or more criminal illegal aliens have been removed from Minnesota, including murder.
Damn, 4,000. 4,000 criminal illegal aliens have been removed from Minnesota, including murderers, rapists, gang members, and terrorists. Wow.
Rapists, gang members, and terrorists. Again, that is a statement here from the White House. And all of this here as there is this discussion and battle over the future of DHS funding. We do have Doug Luzader with much more on that.
The Democrats came out with their list of demands overnight to change the way that ICE operates, but Republicans may have some demands of their own.
Stay back over here.
No masks for ICE agents, no more roving patrols, and required body-worn cameras. Those among a laundry list of demands from Democrats now in the funding fight for the Department of Homeland Security.
These are just some of the common sense proposals that the American people clearly would like to see in terms of the dramatic changes that are needed at the Department of Homeland Security.
While ICE operations and protests continue in Minnesota, an olive branch from the Trump administration.
I have announced effective immediately. We will draw down 700 people effective today.
Border Czar Tom
And that's what we reported on yesterday morning.
Homan cited more cooperation from local officials. And while Democrats will press for more, Republicans are renewing a push for voter ID requirements.
Voter ID, I think, is absolutely critical. We have photo voter ID in Missouri. We should have that in every state.
The Democrats vow to fight voter ID, part of what's called the SAVE Act.
The SAVE Act is an abomination. It's Jim Crow 2.0 across the country. We are
Jesus Christ, dude. Shut up, old man Schumer.
going to do everything we can to stop it.
But voter ID requirements are broadly popular. Our poll shows 84% of voters support them.
I think this is something that the White House would prefer to be talking about because, to your point earlier, this is an 80-20 issue, and this is an issue where Republicans and the president feels like he is on very solid ground, and the polling data does show that.
Now, both sides remain pretty far apart on this, with the Homeland Security funding deadline now just over a week away. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Doug, thank you so much. And of course, you're looking at some of the video coming in from the past several weeks in Minneapolis. And as he said, President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, says that 700 of the federal immigration officers in the Minneapolis area would leave immediately. And as the operation in the Twin Cities continues, another 2,000 are expected to remain. Homan began to oversee
They're
that
helping this guy that got pepper sprayed.
operation last week following the shooting deaths of Renee Good.
Looks like the agents are helping doing that.
And Alex Preddy by federal officers last month. Addressing reporters just yesterday, Homan explained that the operation has been successful and they have made great progress, adding that he will not leave until the mission is complete. Right now, I want to discuss this just a bit in further here, so let's bring in John Torres, who was the previous acting director of ICE and is now the president of...
Real quick, we do have 241 people in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button as well as double tap the screen if you're on the vertical side. Thank you, guys. You don't have to like all the craziness that's happening, but you guys can like it for me and what we do here. So thank you.
Security and technology consulting at Guidepost Solutions. John, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
That's right, KP.
Always good to be here, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And first off, I want to start by asking you about the announcement there from Tom Homan, the border czar, just yesterday, as he said these 700 federal agents of about 3,000 that are there on the ground in Minneapolis are leaving. So my question for you, does that signal anything to you that he made that announcement and that about a third of them are going away?
Yeah, that actually indicates to me that border czar Homan is satisfied, at least to this point, with the cooperation that he's getting from the state and local officials there on the ground. And more specifically, he's happier that they are getting access to the local and county jails. They've always had access to state prisons, but now with the county jails, the turnover is much quicker as opposed to a federal or state prison where people are released a few times a month. County jails, people are released within hours or sometimes overnight. And so to get access to them, that was more critical for these types of operations.
When you look at this as a whole, it's important to notice and to note that border czar Tom Homan took over that operation, arriving a little more than a week ago over in the Minneapolis area. It was last Monday. He got there and essentially met with the leaders, local, state. We're talking Governor Tim Walz, as well as the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey.
Wow.
How
he really did go meet up with everybody.
have we seen kind of the situation on the ground there change over the week or so since Tom Homan took control?
Yeah, one, I would say that the lines of communication are more open. They are talking where it appeared before that the feds and the state and locals were far apart, not communicating with each other, which is very dangerous from my perspective, trying to run.
I agree. I don't care how much of an enemy someone is or whatever the case is, an opposition, whatever the ideology, whatever. You should be able to sit down at the table and talk. You should be able to. Now, that is an ought claim. You know what I mean? It is an ought thing. And it should be that way, though.
Law enforcement operations. If you have one side not knowing what the other side is doing, it could lead to a lot of critical bad things happening. So one, they're talking more, which is always important. And two, I think with operations changing, you're seeing less of the spectacle on the ground. Tom Homan said that he was not there for press conferences and photo ops. He was there to make sure that the job was getting done on the ground. And so you're not seeing as much of the cameras out there following the agents on the ground as they're doing their operations, which also I think is a good thing because it helps settle down the situation on the ground.
Yeah, and it's important to note this video is some of the video that came in prior to Homan arriving, and things have kind of changed. We haven't seen that really escalation that we were seeing over the past week or so. Now, there have been these ongoing protests that have still taken place, and of course, last month, the fatal confrontations during the enforcement surge there in Minneapolis. From your perspective, how do those maybe public reactions affect the operations on the ground as a whole?
Two different ways. One, politically, from the administration, it takes away from their message of what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, for them to remove dangerous criminals, that's a very popular sentiment. It's almost
right. And they got 4,000 plus so far out of Minnesota, which is pretty damn actually impressive. Now, personally, I would like to see those numbers skyrocket. You know,
80-20 issue with over 80% of the people agreeing that dangerous criminals that are foreign nationals should be removed from the country.
True, Charles.
But when you have those types of incidents taking place, it galvanizes the people on the ground against what ICE is doing and against ICE, actually. And so it makes it tougher for them to do their job because of the protests. And it basically inflames the situation on the ground. So ICE has to take more precautions and have more people protecting the agents that are trying to do that job.
Talking about the state and local leadership, of course, you mentioned that Homan appears to be having that direct communication. So you have state, local, and federal officials that are working together more so as one than we saw previously. So how pivotal is it that those organizations are operating as a whole?
I think it's extremely pivotal.
I was just about to say, I think that answers itself. I mean, yeah, of course, it is pivotal.
Pivotal to have them working together on the ground, specifically if you're talking about trying to make the community safer. They're all saying they want public safety and they want the community to be safer. But in reality, if you're not working together, that is very difficult to achieve. And so one of the things that border czar Homan has been saying is that if you can send 2 agents to a jail to arrest the person, as opposed to 10 agents to someone's house to arrest that same person, where it's inherently more dangerous and unpredictable, then you don't have that spectacle out there on the streets anymore.
All right. John Torres, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here. Anything we missed that you want to make sure we mention before I let you go?
Ultimately, the proof is going to be in the pudding with the numbers. And so if you see that ICE is still removing criminals, they'll release those numbers.
And they are releasing those numbers. That's a new number that I heard today, was 4,000 plus criminal illegal aliens have been removed out of Minnesota. So anyways, listen, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough. Obviously, I can't do this shit without you guys. I'm very honored to be able to do it Monday through Friday. And we don't do these big, long, super long streams or anything like that. We consolidate basically the last 24 hours of world news, geopolitics, American news, all that kind of stuff. We break that all down into usually about an hour. And I try to keep it at an hour. And today we ran long. It was a big news day. So listen, I can't thank you guys enough. Make sure you guys stick around for the raid. We're going to be raiding a guy named Emmett. Make sure you guys stick around for that and let him know that we're coming through with the Mike Ball raid. And listen, we're going to be back tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. Until then, God bless everyone, and we'll see you guys very soon.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken, he rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit.